Today we're making a meal out of Cheetos mac and cheese. The other day when I was at the store, I purchased all 3 flavors of Cheetos mac and cheese, and I asked you all for suggestions on what meals I could make with it. This comment stood out as one that sounded good, and I thought it would bode well for this original flavor, although I'm still going to make the other 2 flavors in future videos as well. I used 2 boxes of mac and cheese, some bacon, 2 bags of spicy chicken nuggets. I opted for ranch dressing in lieu of nacho cheese, some barbecue sauce, and some crispy jalapenos. Now I know this flavor combination might sound a little strange, but there is a restaurant called Smoky Bones that serves a very similar dish just over French fries instead of macaroni. Starting with the macaroni, in a large pot filled with water, I brought it up to a boil. I added in both boxes of my macaroni noodles without the cheese packet, and I allowed this to boil for 7 minutes, stirring every couple of minutes or so to make sure the noodles weren't sticking to the bottom. After 7 minutes, check to make sure your pasta is done, and before draining, set aside some of your pasta water. I set aside about 1 cup or so, and we're going to use this in lieu of the milk and butter to make the cheese sauce. This will help keep our ingredients list smaller and our cost lower. Add your drained noodles back into your pot with 1/2 cup of your reserved pasta water and both of your cheese sauce packets, and stir well to combine. I thought it would be best to try this macaroni and cheese on its own just to see what it tasted like, and I can see why people are on the fence about it because it wasn't really Cheetos flavored. It kind of reminded me of bland Cheez-Its, but we're going to doctor it up, so we're going to make something better out of it. For the bacon, I cut it up into small pieces just using a knife and cutting board, and then I fried it over medium heat until it was crispy, and then I removed it to a plate lined with a paper towel to drain. I cooked my chicken nuggets in the air fryer for 10 minutes, but if you don't have an air fryer, just bake them in the oven. I also cut them into quarters to stretch them further through the dish. The only other thing I did was transfer my ranch and barbecue sauce into squeeze bottles, and I only did this for the presentation of the dish for the video. And we are now ready to assemble our bowls. I split my macaroni evenly between the 4 bowls. I did the same for the chicken nuggets and the bacon. I topped each one with some fried jalapenos, but if you don't like spicy, you could substitute the jalapenos for some diced tomatoes. And then I drizzled each bowl with some barbecue sauce and ranch dressing, and then these are ready to serve. So this video was 50% tutorial and 50% taste test. I had no idea what this was going to be like, and I was just doing it off of a viewer suggestion, but I am very happy to say that I was totally pleased with this dish. I thought it was a great way to use the Cheetos mac and cheese and to improve upon its flavor. So definitely give this one a shot and let me know what you think. Let's meal prep to get ready for a convention weekend. This weekend, we are traveling to Baltimore for the Maryland Pop Culture and Horror Convention as a vendor to sell Michael's art. I try to keep costs low by preparing meals in advance. After all, we're there to make money, and I don't want to waste our profits eating out all the time, a lesson I have unfortunately learned the hard way. Since convention days are long and we're staying in a hotel, our meals have to be quick and microwavable or eaten cold. Oh yeah, and snacks. Lots and lots of snacks. I spent $30 total on food for the weekend, including snacks, which leads me to today's video where I'm going to show you what I prepped for us, and as usual, everything came from the Dollar Tree. For breakfast, we're going to have sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits that we can just reheat in the microwave. I used a packet of buttermilk biscuit mix, a carton of 6 eggs, a roll of sausage, and the leftover cheese from my pinwheels. I prepared the buttermilk biscuit mix according to package instructions with a 1/2 cup of water, and instead of making individual biscuits, I made 1 sheet pan of biscuits. This is an 8x8 pan I got from the Dollar Tree. I lined it with parchment paper and baked it at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. I then pressed my sausage into a sheet at the bottom of the same baking pan and baked it for 10 minutes. And lastly, I scrambled all 6 of my eggs and added them to, again, the same baking pan. I left the sausage drippings in so the eggs wouldn't stick, and I baked them for 13 minutes. I cut everything into quarters and sliced my biscuits in half and assembled my breakfast sandwiches. I wrapped them in parchment paper for easy microwaving, but I also wrapped them in a layer of foil so they wouldn't dry out. Of course, I'll remove the foil before microwaving. For our lunches, I went really simple with these chicken salad kits and some pasta salad. I prepared the pasta salad according to the package instructions, as I've shown quite a few times, and then I portioned it out into 4 individual containers. Saturday night, we'll eat dinner in the hotel, so I picked up this microwavable bag of white rice, a bag of California blend vegetables, 2 bags of homestyle meatballs, some teriyaki sauce, canned pineapple, and some spring rolls. I kind of messed up here. Originally, I was going to put all the meatballs and vegetables in one container to be microwaved, but then I realized that as the vegetables thaw out, they were going to release a lot of liquid. So I separated the vegetables into their own container, and then in the other container, I added the meatballs, the teriyaki sauce, and a few slices of pineapple that I chunked up. I'll be able to microwave all of this with the rice and spring rolls for a quick and easy no-cook dinner. And of course, we cannot forget about the snacks. We need snacks for the convention center and the hotel. I got cups of diced mango, some sweet and spicy trail mix, these knockoff Teddy Grahams, garden vegetable crackers, cream cheese and chive crackers, caramel crunch and munch, and some chipotle peanuts. And there is our food prep for the weekend. How do you guys think I did? Now that the first day of the convention is over, let's talk about the Dollar Tree food that I purchased and prepped for the weekend and what I would have done differently. Starting with the breakfast sandwiches, these were mine and Michael's favorite dish of the day. I removed the foil wrapper and microwaved them in the parchment paper for 45 seconds, and then I put them back in the foil and brought them to our table for us to eat a quick and easy breakfast. For lunch, we had the chicken salad and pasta salad. I of course forgot to pack a fork to eat the pasta salad with, so ended up eating it with this teensy tiny little spoon that came with the chicken salad. The chicken salad was good, but it was quite pickly, so it wasn't my favorite. I think I would have preferred tuna salad, but I was trying to avoid having tuna breath. And lastly, for dinner, we had the teriyaki meatballs. Our hotel room doesn't actually have a microwave in the room, so I had to bring everything downstairs to microwave in the lobby. I was even able to borrow some plates from the hotel restaurant for us to use, and the front desk had plastic utensils. So our least favorite part of the day was the spring rolls, and that was just because they were microwaved. I have used these spring rolls before, and I've used them in the air fryer, so I know that they are good, just not very good microwaved. And the Dollar Tree teriyaki sauce is quite salty. We did try it on its own, and it was pretty intense. But once you serve it over the rice balances out the salt a good bit. We haven't actually tried all of the snacks yet, so I will update you all on that one tomorrow. Today we're making Taco Bell inspired breakfast Crunchwraps, and we're doing it all from the Dollar Tree. You'll need some mayonnaise, some pickled jalapenos. I recommend the kind in the can versus the kind in the jar because the jar has a bit of a funny aftertaste to me. Garlic powder and paprika, and yes, I do use seasonings from time to time. Flour tortillas, frozen hash brown patties, a 6-pack of eggs, some classic sausage, and some cheddar cheese. First, we'll make the Taco Bell creamy jalapeno sauce. This is one of their signature sauces that they put on their quesadillas, their breakfast crunch wraps, and a variety of other items. Starting with the jalapenos, these are whole pickled jalapenos, so you will need to cut off the top, cut them in half, and de-seed them with a spoon the same way you would with a fresh jalapeno. Then you'll want to mince your jalapenos very finely. You can alternatively put this all in a blender, but I was trying to avoid using as many appliances as possible. I used about 3 small jalapenos, which ended up being about a 1/4 cup or so of minced jalapeno. To a bowl, I added in my entire jar of mayonnaise, which was around a cup or so. To your mayonnaise, you'll add your minced jalapeno, followed by 2 tablespoons of the pickle juice from your pickled jalapenos, and 2 teaspoons each of paprika and garlic powder. Mix this well to combine and allow it to marinate in the fridge overnight preferably. I did mine for about an hour or so while I prepared the rest of my ingredients. In a skillet with about a 1/2 inch of vegetable oil, I fried all 5 of my hash brown patties for around 8 minutes per side. I know the directions say 3 to 4 minutes, but you really need longer than that to get them crispy. I removed them to a paper towel and allowed them to drain. I browned and crumbled my sausage, and I left the drippings in the pan so I could scramble the eggs right in that. The only other prep work to do is to grate your cheese. So I had to play around with ratios because if you overstuff these, you won't be able to fold them in a true Crunchwrap fashion like Taco Bell does, because Taco Bell uses a 10-inch tortilla, whereas these Dollar Tree tortillas are more like 7 inches. So here's what I recommend instead. Keep your skillet on about medium heat and warm up your tortilla for around 5 seconds each side to make it pliable. To each tortilla, add just 1/2 of each hash brown patty. Drizzle that with some of your jalapeno sauce. Add a spoonful of eggs, a spoonful of sausage, and a pinch or so of cheddar cheese. You can then fold it in the pentagon shape that Taco Bell does. All that's left to do is to grill it on a skillet for about a minute on each side. Here are your finished Crunchwraps ready to go. You would get about 10 of these with the ingredients I showed today because you're only using half of each hash brown patty. And you guys already probably know that I was totally in love with these. I am a true Taco Bell addict and I would work my way through their entire menu if you gave me time to do so. Today we're making a one-pot cheesy jalapeno taco mac. This was inspired by the cheesy jalapeno Cheetos mac and cheese. So of course I used 2 boxes of jalapeno Cheetos mac and cheese, 2 beef patties that were thawed overnight, Rotel, taco seasoning, and pepper jack cheese. In a skillet over medium-high heat, add in both of your thawed beef patties and brown and crumble just like you would regular ground beef. If you have a lot of liquid in your pan after cooking your beef, you may want to drain it. I didn't have a lot of liquid this time, so I chose not to drain it. I just added in my can of undrained Rotel and my packet of taco seasoning and allowed this to saute for about a minute. To this you'll add in both boxes of your macaroni and cheese and about 3 cups of water. You'll want to make sure that the macaroni noodles are not entirely submerged in water. You should still see a little bit of noodle peeking out the top. Bring this mixture to a boil, cover with a lid and allow it to simmer on low heat for 7 to 8 minutes, stopping to stir every 2 to 3 minutes or so to ensure that nothing is sticking to the bottom. After 8 minutes, test a noodle to make sure that it's cooked all the way through, and to this you're going to add in both packets of your cheese sauce from your mac and cheese along with your grated pepper jack cheese. The residual heat from the pasta will melt the cheese, and then this is ready to plate up and serve. Here is our finished one-pot cheesy jalapeno taco mac. I was able to portion it out into 4 bowls and they were quite large servings, so this would definitely feed 4 people. I would definitely say that this is one of my favorite one-pot dishes that I have made to date. It reminded me a lot of Hamburger Helper, except it was much cheesier and had a bit of a kick from the jalapeno spice. And if you want a little bit of extra crunch on top, you can definitely top it with some of the fried jalapenos that I showed in my last Cheetos mac and cheese video as well. Most of the recipes I share here are quick and with very few ingredients, but every once in a while I want to share something beautiful. Something that people won't believe is a Dollar Tree recipe. And that's exactly what I set out to do here today with this Greek pizza on a homemade no-yeast pizza crust. Now, of course, for practicality purposes, you can definitely use a pre-packaged pizza crust from Dollar Tree, but with a few pantry staples, you can make your own crust with no yeast yourself. To a large mixing bowl, I added 2.5 cups of flour, followed by 1 tablespoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and 3/4 of a cup of water. Stir well until it's thoroughly mixed, and then I kneaded it on my counter for about 5 to 7 minutes. While kneading it, if you need to add flour, go ahead and do so a little bit at a time. I only added flour anytime the dough was sticking to my hands or the countertop. You want to keep feeling the dough and make sure that it doesn't get too firm or you're adding too much flour. It should stay soft and relatively pliable. A fairly standard kneading practice that I do is to just turn the dough in quarter turns while folding it in on itself and then pushing it away from yourself. You'll be able to tell when your dough is ready because it will be relatively smooth in texture but still soft and slightly tacky to the touch. I added some oil to my original mixing bowl and then added my dough ball to that, turning the dough ball to coat it entirely in the oil. Cover with a tea towel and set it aside to rest while you prepare the rest of the ingredients. Preheat your oven to 450 degrees and set a cast iron skillet in the oven to preheat with the oven. For pizza toppings, I have oil and garlic, mozzarella cheese, diced tomato, black olives, roasted red pepper strips, and feta cheese. In a small saucepan or skillet, add 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1/2 tablespoon of garlic, and cook this on medium heat until the garlic is golden brown, stirring constantly so that it doesn't burn. Then set this aside to cool. Slice up a few black olives, tomatoes, and red pepper strips, and then shred your mozzarella cheese. You'll only need half of the dough we prepared originally. You can wrap up the other half and freeze it for a future pizza, but roll out your dough into a circle that's about the same size as your cast iron skillet. Remove your skillet from your preheated oven and, working very carefully as it's going to be incredibly hot, drizzle a small amount of oil in the bottom so that the crust can crisp up. Add your crust to the bottom of the skillet. It should sizzle as you add it. That's a good sign. Poke your crust all over with a fork to make sure there are no air bubbles, and then you're going to load it up with your toppings, starting with your garlic oil, followed by your mozzarella cheese, then tomatoes, olives, red peppers, and lastly feta cheese, and you're going to return it to the oven to bake for around 12 minutes until the cheese is golden brown and bubbling. I moved my pizza out of the cast iron and onto a cutting board and cut it into 4 slices, and isn't this just the most beautiful thing? It is so amazing. I'm really proud of how this recipe turned out, so I do hope you guys try this. I know it takes a little bit more time and a lot more ingredients than most of my recipes do, but it is well worth the work. As far as flavor goes, the no yeast pizza crust is more akin to what a biscuit tastes like and biscuit-like in texture, but I still think it is a great recipe to try, and I would love to know what you guys think.